That was President Biden this afternoon, once again saying the situation on the ground in Afghanistan would have happened no matter when or how we left. But Sean, would it? Our next guest just announced plans, I agree, to establish an Afghanistan Commission. The commission will conduct a full review on America's 20-year involvement in Afghanistan, starting with our initial military invasion in 2001 to the ongoing withdrawal failures. Joining us now is Virginia Congressman Rob Wittman. He is the vice-ranking member of the House Armed Services Committee. Congressman, welcome to the show.
Lindsay and Sean, great to be with you.
All right, so you announced this commission today. Tell us, what are the next steps here?
Well, the next steps are to get this legislation hopefully before committee and then get it to the floor so that it can be passed, so we can begin this process to do a full evaluation and vetting of all the conditions that have happened through the years from 9/11 to now, to see what's unfolded, to get the facts on what has happened in these last several weeks, but understand the context and what's happened over the years in all these different administrations. I think that's what the American people deserve to know. I think, too, the place we find ourselves today is absolutely unacceptable.
I agree with you, Congressman. I think the interesting thing is, you know, in Washington, there's always finger pointing at the other side, right? So you've got the Biden administration today saying, oh, well, I got all this left from the Trump administration. I think anyone with 1 ounce of common sense knows that that's ridiculous. We're not talking about withdrawing from Afghanistan. We're talking about how it happened. So I guess the question is, how do you hold people responsible in an atmosphere and an environment like we are in right now?
Sean, the way we do that is to get to the facts, to get to the truth. And I want to hear from folks that, you know, aren't inside the Beltway. I want to hear from folks that have been there on the ground in Afghanistan. That's why I think this commission is so incredibly important. To hear from others, to get a full understanding of the facts, to understand the decisions that led up to where we are today. That is what the American people need to know. We saw that with the 9/11 Commission. We asked the question, how did 9/11 happen? I think we ought to ask the same questions. How did the current situation in Afghanistan happen? What has happened through the years, the things that we tried to accomplish, the things that we were able to accomplish or we weren't able to accomplish? That, I think, is incredibly important. And what we see before us today begs those questions. This has to happen in order for the American people to know, how did we get here and what do we need to do going forward?
You know, Congressman, the reason we went to Afghanistan in the first place was to hold al-Qaeda accountable and to keep our shores safe. President Biden talked about terrorist groups plotting against America today. Listen.
That's a very different question than whether or not there is the ability to observe whether or not large groups of terrorists begin to accumulate in a particular area in Afghanistan to plot against the United States of America. That's why we retained an over-the-horizon capability to go in and do something about that if that occurs.
You know, he keeps talking about our over-the-horizon counterterrorism efforts there, but is that enough to keep us safe?
Well, the over-the-horizon effort there is way over the horizon. It is not anywhere close to what's necessary to really have immediacy to not only understand where the threats may occur, but also to be able to immediately respond. We have not been able to achieve any agreements with neighboring countries to be able to operate out of those countries, and therefore we are large distances away. That's problematic for us.
That you just hit it on the nail, right? This is unbelievable. Once we leave Afghanistan, we've got nowhere to operate from in the region. I mean, I think that is going to be one of the greatest regrets that we have.
It is, Sean. We have no place with which to do the operations necessary to be immediate and to have the level of detail that we need. Remember, we have nobody on the ground in Afghanistan. Human intelligence out the window. We have nothing on the ground as far as equipment. So signal intelligence, gathering information, that's out the window. So we have none of the things that we would have if we had some sort of presence there. Think about it, too. We didn't think about this. We left Bagram Air Base, a place that we could actually secure, and now we're operating out of Kabul. That just is mind-boggling about how short-sighted that is in being able to transition safely out of Afghanistan. This is all about achieving a political goal. It's not about doing things strategically and tactically the way you should as a military and how you would withdraw from Afghanistan.
100%.
Congressman Wittman, appreciate your time. We're going to have to check back in with you to see where this commission lands and see how it's going. Thank you for your time this evening.
Thanks, Sean. Thanks, Lindsay.
All right. Coming up.